Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chana and this is Jar of Fireflies. Here I make videos all about my life as an Orthodox Jewish homeschooling mother of 4. And today we'll be setting the table for Shabbat. Okay, so in most of my Shabbat prep videos, you see me setting the table for Shabbat. Recently, I've started setting the table on Thursdays, and that makes my life so much easier on Fridays. With Shabbat starting Friday night, it's just great to have that already done. Half of it is just getting this table cleared off. It's a massive table. We use it all week long. There's like books spread out over it. If my kids are having a tutoring session, it's usually back here. My husband and I and my son will do our tefillah out here, our prayers. It's usually a lot of laundry happening on the table. I mean, like piles of laundry, but that is totally okay. Anyways, in other words, this is a home and we live here, and this table is where a lot of that living takes place. Okay, but when Shabbat comes, we transform this into our Shabbat table. Before we get too far into today's video though, I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Giant Bean. Giant Bean is a toy company that I found on Amazon, and today I'm showing you one of their toys, which is this beautiful dollhouse. It is over 2.5 feet tall. It's 3 stories. It comes with 3 dolls and 15 pieces of furniture. And I have to tell you, my kids absolutely love their Giant Bean dollhouse. The house is so beautifully set up. I love the color schemes. I love the furniture has this mid-century modern feel to it. The whole thing was so easy to put together and just looks absolutely stunning once it's all set up. There are so many fun features in this dollhouse that my kids totally love to play with, like the working doorbell, the working light, and the elevator that they can actually move up and down from floor to floor. My favorite is the balcony with the sunshade because, hey, who wouldn't want that in real life? So having it in a dollhouse is the next best thing. There's even windows that actually open and close. The dollhouse is well constructed. It was easy to assemble. I know this is gonna last for so much fun play for my kids. This is such a great gift, and it comes in several different colors, so you can check it all out. I've left you all of the information, of course, in the pinned comment and in my description box below. So click on my link and pop on over there to Giant Bean on Amazon, see all the toys that they have to offer, and of course, this beautiful dollhouse. All right, and now back to Shabbat table. And like I said, I've shown me setting the table a lot in some of my Shabbat prep videos when I'm doing day in the life on Friday, but I also usually get a lot of questions about, well, why do you do this and why do you do that? So today we'll be going through and explaining all of that. Okay, so first off, this table. I lovingly call this my weekday tablecloth because this stays here on the table all week long. But for Shabbat, we put a different tablecloth on there. So for Shabbat, it is traditional but not required to use a white tablecloth. And my family, we typically use a white tablecloth for Shabbat. Sometimes we have like a sort of off-white gold colored tablecloth that we enjoy, but mostly we're using a white tablecloth. There's a little bit of background noise going on because, like I said, this is a home and we live here, and baby Firefly is crawling around playing with some various toys here on the ground, and my other kids are playing in their rooms, and my oldest is in the kitchen cooking some soup. So there's living happening here. Anyways, back to the table. So first things first is I'm gonna get this tablecloth off and put our Shabbat tablecloth on. Okay, the tablecloth is now on and we're ready to move on to more things. One thing I did want to note though is that the reason that we're changing our tablecloth and not using that same other, like just the weekday tablecloth for Shabbat, is that we do want to have a separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week. So having special tablecloths just for Shabbat and other tablecloths for during the week help to just really be like a big tangible and visual difference between Shabbat and the rest of the weeks. So this is making Shabbat a little bit more special because it is nicer, and it's also helping us with that separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week. And so you'll see that in a lot of the things that I put on the table. I'll try not to be super repetitive about that, but we are using our nicer things for Shabbat. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go grab a few other things that we need for Shabbat. Okay. This is our challah board. Our challah board is nothing special, really. It's just a cutting board. It's a pretty cutting board. It's a cutting board that I like, but it is a cutting board that we only use on Shabbat for cutting our challah. That is the bread that we use on Shabbat, that braided bread. So we always put this on our table, and this is what we'll put our bread on, and a challah board. You don't necessarily need something special. A lot of people will have a very special, very beautiful challah board. I've seen them with glass, I've seen them with metal, I've seen them with marble. Like, there's all kinds of really fun and beautiful challah boards out there. We used to have a really fancy one, it broke, and we've been using this one and just really haven't gotten around to getting something nice again. But we do use this only for Shabbat and for our challah, so that again, with the separation of the two. But now that I'm actually saying this out loud, I really should get a new one. So I'm putting that there at the head of the table by my husband's place because he is the one who is going to say the blessing over the bread. Okay, another item that we need is our kiddush cup. And this is basically just a cup. It's on a small plate. And this is where we'll put our wine or grape juice. And then my husband will say kiddush, which is the blessing over the wine. It is one of our requirements to hear that over Shabbat. So yes, we are using this special cup. It's not like the cup that my husband would just like use to drink, I don't know, water with his meal out of or something like that. The rest of the meal, we use it for kiddush, for that special blessing. And so when I'm setting the table, I always set this out by our challah board as well. The next item that I'm adding to the table is a small container of salt. When we're eating our bread on Shabbat, we dip it in a little bit of salt and then we serve it to everybody at the table. The reason for this is because our table is like an altar. We no longer have the temple, we're no longer making sacrifices. So this is sort of like our altar, and that makes the food that we eat sort of like our sacrifices. So we dip them in salt because the Torah says to never omit salt from your sacrifices. Now, many people would put a knife on the table along with their challah boards and would often have a special knife that they use specifically for the challah, similar to the way we have a particular board for our challah. In my family, our tradition is to tear the bread when we pass it out and not use a knife to slice it. So this is a difference between Ashkenaz Jews and Sephardi Jews. Being a Sephardi family, we tear our bread, whereas an Ashkenaz family would typically cut it with a knife. So you will not see me putting a knife on our table to cut the bread. Now, if we were having guests for our meal, then I would put on a bowl to put our challah in so that we could pass it around in this bowl. And I just used this little basket that I got from IKEA, and I put a nice napkin in there. However, we're not having any guests tomorrow, so I don't need to put that on our table. I am going to put on our challah cover though. So this is just a fabric cover, and I'm going to put it on the challah board, and then when we put our challah on the table tomorrow, this will go on top of the challah. And this is because we say our blessing over the grape juice first. We keep the bread covered until we're ready to say that blessing over the bread. I do get a lot of questions about our challah cover, so I did cross stitch this like, I don't know, many years ago. What are we, like 12, 13 years ago now, something like that. I guess like 12 years ago. About 12 years ago, I cross-stitched this as a wedding gift for Mr. Firefly. And then the Hebrew writing here on the front says Shabbat Shalom. So that's what we use for our challah cover. And so I just set it there like that so that it's ready for us just to put the bread under there tomorrow when we are ready. All right, now I'm gonna go grab some plates. Okay, so now the table is set that we can actually like eat our dinner off of the table, which is kind of the whole point of setting the table. I do use 2 plates. I use a regular plate and a salad plate because we have a pretty hefty salad course before we go into our main meal. And then I set out just the silverware that we need. The only reason that I don't have knives on the table is because we're not eating anything that requires a knife tomorrow. I did put spoons out this week because, like I said, my son is in there making soup, and that is for our Shabbat dinner tomorrow night. So we're just doing a soup course, our salad course, and the fish course. That's all that we're doing tomorrow night. My son is making matzo ball soup. We'll have all of our regular saladim, our regular salads, like matbucha, carrot salad, corn salad, things like that. I'll link to some videos with recipes, by the way, in the description box below, so be sure to check that out. And then we'll move into our main course, which is the fish. We use our Moroccan fish recipe and make Moroccan fish for our Friday night meal. That's what we eat in a typical Friday night. So there's just a few things that are missing from our table at this point, and that is flowers, wine or grape juice, and challah. So the challah is in the freezer because I bake big batches of that and I keep it in the freezer until we're ready to use it. So tomorrow on Friday, because today's Thursday, so tomorrow I will pull the challah out, thaw it out, and then we'll warm it up a little bit on our hot plate before we're ready to eat our meal. And then that's going to go here underneath the challah cover before we start our meal. I will put some grape juice on the table tomorrow night as well. We keep that in the refrigerator. We like to use a sparkling grape juice. I'll show you what we use. So I keep these in our refrigerator, and before we sit down to eat our meal, I'll pull this out of the refrigerator and put it on the table. If I'm in the mood to have an actual glass of wine, then I'll pull that out at that point as well. But typically this is what we are using at our table. And then the last item that I said that was missing was flowers. And that's because we are going to pick those up from the store tomorrow. So I do not have them here at the house to put on the table. Otherwise I absolutely would. And that will just be the finishing touch on the table. There is no requirement to have flowers on the table. It's just a really nice and extremely traditional thing. You'd be hard pressed to go to a house in my neighborhood that did not have flowers on the table for Shabbat. Like, it's just what we do. So that's just another way that we can beautify our table for Shabbat, kind of elevate our whole Shabbat experience. And again, just kind of differentiate between the rest of the week and Shabbat, which again, we're doing with all of our dishes. These dishes we're only using for Shabbat or holidays. Even the foods that we eat, we're not eating during the week. Those are foods that we make for Shabbat. I wouldn't just make Moroccan fish on a Tuesday night. Like, these are things that we eat on Shabbat. Could I eat it on a Tuesday night? Absolutely. There's no reason that I couldn't, other than that I'm just keeping that separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week. And if I'm eating those same foods all week long, then it doesn't make them special for Shabbat. So I'm just trying to keep those things special for Shabbat. All right, I hope that answers any questions you have about setting the Shabbat table, and now you know why I set the table the way that I do as we are going into Shabbat. I will film just a little bit of footage tomorrow after I get the flowers on and everything's like totally done, so you can see the whole thing. And I'll just tack that on here after I am done. All right, so that is it. Thank you all so much for being here. As always, I super appreciate it. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. It helps my channel out a lot, as do your comments, so thank you in advance for that. Drop me a comment down below and let me know something that you like to do to make your table a little bit more special when you're setting up for either Shabbat or a holiday meal. And don't forget to check out the information that I left for you in the description box and in my pinned comment below, all about Giant Bean and their awesome toys. And with that, we are done. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in my next upload. With Shabbat starting Friday night, there is a baby underfoot, so there's that. No. I do get a lot of questions about